Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
Lee.
You're back from the pub then? Well,
Yes.
That's where you were last time we did a show.
Yeah, so I was just catching up with my past then. Yeah, no, it was good. I went for drinks with my dad for his birthday. I got really drunk and regretted all my life choices the next day.
Yeah, I kind of felt...
Choice of being self-employed, though, yeah?
Well, not really. I mean, I was at work, so it's at that point it didn't matter. It didn't matter whether I was working for myself or fucking Hitler. I had to be there.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that this morning. There was a lot of drinking at Dan's wedding reception last night.
You surprised me.
I mean, I had a bottle of whiskey confiscated from me. They hid it behind the bar and wouldn't let me have it until we were all going home. And there was way too many cocktails, and I got introduced to the concept of journey juice, which is one last cocktail in a plastic glass for the bus ride home.
Who introduced this concept to you?
Maid of Honour, I think, was the...
Yes. Yeah, maid of dishonour, judging by the way she was making everyone do shots. But yes, it was a fun day. Congratulations to Dan and Becky. After
Absolutely
2 years and 3 attempts, they have finally managed to get married. Mm-hmm. And just a quick, she probably won't be listening, but a quick happy birthday to my mum as well.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Paul's mum.
And she won't appreciate me saying this, but it is her 80th today.
Wow.
I mean,
milestone.
She's really only 72. She's just had 80 birthdays because she's greedy.
Oh, okay.
No, she is 80.
I've just looked at. I've got Twitter open on a separate page, and sorry, it's completely unrelated, but it shocked me so much. I need to point it out. And there's been a crash at the velodrome.
Yes.
My word, that's like it's an IndyCar crash.
Yep.
On bikes.
Yes.
Bits of cyclists ended up in the crowd.
Wow.
Funnily enough, while we're recording tonight, we're doing it on a Sunday for once. We've actually got the NASCAR on just to see if Danny Kvyat manages to wipe out the entire field.
Just to see if they can beat that crash.
No, it'll happen. I mean, it's NASCAR and it's Danny Kvyat. You know, what do you expect?
Was Kvyat particularly crashy?
The torpedo.
Got nicknamed the Torpedo, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Vettel claimed he hit him twice in that Russian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was it. He kept finding Vettel, didn't he? He had such a nondescript fucking Formula One career, didn't he?
He just made way for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
That appears to be what he's doing in NASCAR as well. Anyway, Formula One, the other motorsport that we're talking about. We'll do the Hungarian Grand Prix review shortly, but we had some Thursday news last week, which was a sod because we recorded the podcast on Wednesday. Sebastian Vettel is calling it a day at the end of the season. And
yes. Did you see? Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, he said it's been on his mind for quite some time, probably since about 2018, when he hit the wall in Germany. Mm. And the retirement announcement, I think you were just about to say, Chris.
No, the retirement announcement came on social media, didn't it? Because it was famously Sebastian Vettel never had any social media. He appears to have appeared on social media purely just to announce his retirement. It's the way that a lot of people do things these days. Of course, signing up to. I saw a couple of people saying that signing up to social media can only mean one thing: retirement, and that's exactly what it meant. Did anybody see Danny Kvyat's response on social media to Sebastian Vettel's retirement?
No,
I did not.
No, I mean this is Vettel's first retirement in a long time that Kvyat hasn't caused.
Yeah, he said, "Enjoy what was it? Enjoy the longer way round in life." With a picture of Vettel going around the outside, and then responded to his own tweet with a picture of the torpedo moment, saying, "But don't break too early."
That's incredible. What a guy! Give him a drive.
See if I can find the actual thing, because I may have not got that exactly correct, but it was along those lines anyway.
Did anyone right? I mean, I realise it's a very touching moment, and someone's been in the sport, someone that's been very successful, and at one point looked like the guy that might be the one to break Schumacher's records. Did anyone find his retirement speech a bit cringy and self-obsessed?
At the start, I did wonder if he was like being held hostage. It had a sort of odd vibe to it.
Well, to me, it had all the energy of that video Toto Wolff put out. Remember the one where he's in a black turtleneck with a concrete background?
Well, that was on Netflix.
It was on Drive to Survive.
That was the end of Drive to Survive. Everyone has a target.
Oh, was that it? I thought there was a separate one he put out as well.
Oh, he may very well have done.
I thought there was a separate one before the Drive to Survive thing. But yeah, I found it all very weird. I'm sad to see Vettel go, because I quite like the Vettel as a person on the grid. He's good, but I can't quite understand the way social media's treated it, because it's everyone on like Formula One Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that are pretending like they haven't called him shit for the past 5 years.
I wouldn't say shit is fair, but
no. I'm just saying how social media have treated him for the last 5 years.
As a whole, perhaps, but Sebastian Vettel's got a lot of fans who want him to do, to stay and maybe win a 5th world championship. Unfortunately,
F1 Twitter, or as I would call it, Simp Central, has been fairly fucking nonplussed about Sebastian Vettel until he retired.
I see nothing but the sort of Seb is our king tweets.
Not now. I haven't
sort of
seen
like in the last
for a while. When he's doing like lazy spins in Ferraris.
See, now that's all I've seen for the last couple of years of him when he's doing his like whatever it is he does.
Seb's got quite a strong following, so I think that's where that outpourings come from. But it's,
sure.
I mean, you are the king of doom scrolling, Lee. Let's face it.
No, not really. I try and stay away from it, to be honest. I'm knocking down my social media use. I fucking can't be doing with it, to be honest. But I just find it all weird. Like even the fact that when people are talking about him retiring, it's the same with Daniel Ricciardo right now. Like Daniel Ricciardo, everyone's being quite rightly critical about, but he's just doing the same thing that Sebastian Vettel did. But he's in the falling apart stage of the Sebastian Vettel way out of Formula One at the moment. It just strikes me as weird that everyone's saying, "Oh well, he probably wants to spend time with his family, and he's got other things on his mind. He wants to maybe he'll get into politics. Maybe he wants to do like the green thing, and he thinks it might be weird in being a Formula One driver and doing those things." You go, fuck off. If he was competitive, he wouldn't be retiring.
Yeah, no. That's part of it. Of course, it is. And you can't say that it isn't. But even in his retirement speech, where he says, he has other things to focus on now, and the amount of focus and commitment that you've got to give, he doesn't think he can give that now. So it's unfair for him to stay in the sport, which is admirable.
I think I just don't believe it. I think that's my thing.
You don't believe what? That he's got other focuses?
No, I think he's got other focuses, but I don't believe that's the reason he's leaving. I think he's leaving because this year in these new cars was the last gasp effort to see if Formula One would come back to him. Because
he said that though, didn't he?
Yeah, no, but
years ago.
But
I mean, the fact that he's been given a car
he hasn't been competitive since the blown diffuser sort of went. That era of Formula One was. Like I say, sometimes like Formula One comes to certain drivers, and that era came to Sebastian Vettel and then some.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not helped that he's been given a car this year that appears to be faster going sideways than it does going forwards.
No, but he's been matched by Lance Stroll.
Yeah, he has been.
Who is quite good at going sideways.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's not like he hasn't. he hasn't got the benchmark. You know, if he had a decent teammate next to him, he would be being destroyed. And that goes for what? If you say he had a different teammate that wasn't Lance Stroll, so if you take out Mick Schumacher and Latifi, I'd say the rest of the grid would be destroying him in the same car. Because there's only two drivers worse than Lance Stroll. Maybe Tsunoda. Maybe Tsunoda on a bad day might be.
I would put Mick Schumacher above Lance Stroll.
Yeah, I would at the moment.
Depends on the day. I think depends on the day.
I to be perfectly honest, I don't think there's much between them.
I think this comes back to it, though. I think mentally, Sebastian has just kind of not that he's checked out, but he's not 100% there. So it's the right decision.
I think
it must be hard. It must be hard when you've done what he's done. Winning, did he win the most races in a year at one point?
His joint won the most races in a year with Schumacher and Hamilton. I think.
Yeah.
But I think all of them have won 13 races in a year.
And then you're on a streak of like trying to get out of Q1. It can't be fun.
Max might break that this year as well, because I think what was today like?
I think today was
eighth win.
Yeah,
8th win of the season. So another 5 in the last 9 races. Totally doable to match it.
Gutted I didn't bet on him today. I even looked at it. I even had my mouse hovering over it because I'm sure it was like 12-1.
Ooh,
that would have been good. Wish I'd known about that as well. Holiday spends.
Yeah, it would have been a tenner bet as well. That's what really, really annoys me about it.
Yeah, but Sod's Law says if you'd have put the bet on, then you wouldn't have won.
Well, that's it. I didn't bet on anybody this weekend because I had that whole thing of like could be just because I wanted I wanted George to do well. I just couldn't bring myself to bet for or against him.
Should we go through the race?
Yes. Yeah, let's do that.
We have things to do. Starting out but this is going to sound very similar to last week, just with different corners
Slightly
named.
Different.
Yeah.
Well, the first team have moved slightly, but others haven't really.
So we've got Williams, Latifi in 18th, Albon in 17th, both apparently carrying damage all the way through the race. Albon had to change a wing after a first lap collision. Latifi was carrying damage all the way through, and that's why he wasn't competitive. But I did notice that.
Yeah, that's why.
But I did notice that Latifi's fastest lap was half a second quicker than Albon's fastest lap.
So maybe a little bit of extra damage for Albon, or do we think Albon just had an off day when both cars were damaged? It's hard to tell. Both cars were damaged then.
Traffic as well towards the end if you're getting blue flagged a lot.
And I mean, one thing that was very common today was just non-stop tyre problems for everyone. The hards weren't getting,
especially. Go on.
Yeah, the hards weren't getting up to temperature. I mean, we'll get to the quality tyre cock-up later on, but the hards weren't getting up to temperature, and the softs and mediums were suffering from degradation quicker than they thought they were going to.
I suppose
kind of related to Williams, but Yuki Tsunoda was the only driver to finish behind them. And he did that spectacular spin and flat spotted his brand new soft tyres.
That's why he finished 2 laps down.
Yeah, I mean there was some tyre abuse, but I think mostly it was a green track, wasn't it? There wasn't any rubber, which will be why your softer compounds were getting shredded. But with the hards, because I think it was cooler than normal. Hungary's normally quite hot. With it being rainy, there just wasn't the temperature for them.
No.
It was a difficult one, but good to see Pirelli isn't getting slagged off for once. Or not that I've seen.
There's been a lack of talk about tyre manufacturers. That feels like something that must have been discussed behind closed doors. With the drivers and teams.
Yeah,
I think it means Pirelli are doing a good job as well. These new tyres on the new rims.
Maybe, yeah. I hope so. Because it got boring, didn't it? Just having every team boss just slate the tyre manufacturer.
I think we're seeing lots of different strategy as well this year. Not everyone's going for the same 2-stop or 1-stop. There's a bit of a mix, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then there's Ferrari, but we'll deal with that later.
Yes,
we will.
Yes, that's the bit that's going to have the most fun. Right, next up, Haas. K-Mag in 16th and Mick in 14th.
I could not tell you a single thing about Mick Schumacher's race.
No. Giovinazzi participation
Yeah,
nomination.
yeah, I think he's definitely up for the participation award. K-Mag front wing damage early on, had a Danish meatball rather than a Swedish meatball. When he actually...
Meatball?
Yeah.
He got flagged.
The black and orange flag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they call it the meatball because it's an orange dot on a black background.
Yeah.
So, he got called into the pits for a new front wing because bits of it were still sort of falling off all over the
Incidentally,
place.
if your meatballs are being served with a black background, you probably want to send them back.
Yeah.
Squid ink pasta?
So did Magnussen put the hards on at that stop? Because I seem to remember he just fell, even though he was right at the back anyway, he didn't make any places up really apart from getting in front of the two injured Williamses.
Yeah, it was... Let me bring up the tyre use, because I've got it on here. Yeah, he did mediums for 6 laps and then a 29-lap run on the hards after he got called into the pits.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, they really didn't work for him. Although it did look like when he was pitting with a couple of laps left under the VSC at the end, we were all saying, is he going to go for fastest lap? And then it started raining and the track got damp, so he couldn't.
Yeah.
Because they turned DRS off. But yeah, there could have been some extra excitement there, sort of a K-Mag fast lap.
I think it was probably more a case that he had a 40-second gap behind him, so they had a free pit stop anyway, and if it does start raining, you want to be on newer tyres if you can.
He was out of the top 10 anyway, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he wouldn't have got the point,
Oh,
but
yeah,
he'd have taken
totally.
it off someone else just for shits and giggles, which I think he might actually still be the only driver who has got a fastest lap outside the top 10 since it came in. I think.
Yeah, it was in Singapore.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, Singapore. I think he got the fastest lap. Was that? It may have been a race lap record that he still holds. I'm not entirely sure because we haven't been to Singapore since pre-COVID. But I'll have a quick look at that whilst everybody else talks about something else.
Quietly doing a really good job, isn't he?
Yeah.
On his return to Formula One, I feel if he was in a slightly better car, or sorry, a slightly more consistent car, maybe is probably the better word. He'd be in that area of that Sergio Perez used to occupy. You know, when
the sort of the best of the rest.
Yeah, if teams have a driver leave, like Sebastian Vettel, for instance, who's going to replace them? Like, I think Kevin Magnussen would be on the list if the car was giving him the results that I think his driving deserves.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've given him plenty of grief in the past,
and deservedly so.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did he drive into his teammate?
Yeah,
and how many times did he fog smash people's doors?
That is true. Although the driving into the teammate, it does take two to tango, and Grosjean was good at that all the way through his career as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have we have like a control now, don't we? We've removed one element from the situation, and one of them isn't crashing, and one still is.
Talking of which, there's a bit of a pile up in the NASCAR. Then again, it's NASCAR.
Kevin Magnussen does hold the lap record. That's the Marina Bay Street Circuit. The race lap record.
That's crazy.
That is slightly mad.
Maybe he's going to try and break it this year. Maybe that last pit stop was just for practice. Well, when we get to Singapore in a couple of months' time, you never know. Right, where next? Alfa Romeo. Bottas anonymously DNF'd.
Well, no, they were both fairly anonymous throughout the whole race. Until Bottas stopped.
And I was going to say, Zhou Guan Yu anonymously got 13th.
We didn't see. We saw a little bit of him. I think when he was getting lapped, but apart from that, I don't think we saw Guan Yu Zhou at all.
No, I don't think he actually did anything notable. I don't think he.
Yeah, he just drove the car. It was
Also,
fine.
the race director, whoever was not the race director, but the TV director, clearly drunk, cutting away from fights to just watch somebody who was just pootling around by themselves. Just like, what are you doing? We want to see what happened.
Yeah, I've got the press release from Alfa Romeo up, and they don't even say a great deal in that. It was tricky, according to Bottas and according to Guan Yu. Conditions today weren't a threat; they were a bit mixed.
Okay, I mean, we weren't asking him for the weather forecast, so.
Yeah, still room for improvement. We keep pushing, yada yada yada. Investigating why Bottas had to retire. Something out. You know, it's a waste of blank space, basically. Which is probably a very Sauber thing to do. Because when there were the blue and gold Sauber, back in the days of them being anonymous, they were definitely a waste of blank space.
Deliberately anonymous.
Yeah. Right, Aston Martin. Vettel was allowed the 10th place this week, with Stroll in 11th. That was
had quite the excursions as well, didn't he, Vettel, this weekend? Like he was bumped into. There was a few times he was off the track, and I'm glad he got a point.
Was that a team orders letting him through?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it looked like it. I don't think we heard the radio call, but it looked.
It was a definite switch.
Yeah. According to Vettel, the team switched cars because I had a better opportunity to catch Ocon, but then the virtual safety car came out.
Okay, fair enough.
According to Vettel, he was just one corner away from making a move, which unfortunately that would have been turn 1 on the next lap, the first one after the checkered flag.
Oh, that was a shame.
But I think they both had sort of slightly, not necessarily messy on their part, just like Stroll, I think, got bumped into a couple of times as well, didn't he? He had the
coming together
Stroll
with
part of the first lap with Albon, was it?
It was Albon, yeah, and I think Ricciardo.
There was the
as well.
Ricciardo
He had
one
the
as well
trick with Ricciardo.
that Ricciardo got the penalty for.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Aston Martin, lowest scoring points team again. Given what the teams behind them were like today, I think that's probably about right. I did miss AlphaTauri out.
Oh.
God, they were anonymous.
I don't know, Sonoda did some stuff.
I thought he was going to bring a full safety car at one point because I thought when he'd spun it, he'd stalled it. You know, and the camera went straight to him and he was blocking the entire track.
I thought he was going to take whichever Red Bull went past him out. He started moving just as this Red Bull was coming around. I was like, oh, you're going to get yourself fired. What are you doing? I think, managed not to.
It's strange, isn't it? The when you think of countries with like real robust like motor racing form, especially single-seater formulas, Japan is right up there. With single-seater series. It's really weird how they can't make a driver.
They do. They make lots of fast drivers, just that they're not always the cleanest
or consistent.
No, Takuma Sato was consistently quick off the track.
Still is in IndyCar. Still, you don't want to get in his way when he's having one of his days.
Yeah, I mean, in IndyCar, don't they call him the animal?
I think so.
Maybe,
yes.
Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should change that slightly and say they can't seem to make a Formula One driver. That's probably a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, I think AlphaTauri, they basically admitted the upgrades that they brought, they don't know how they work.
Then they're not really upgrades, are they, if they're not actually improving the situation?
They're grades at best. I mean, Gasly had a good run. He started from the pit lane because of the engine change and managed to get himself up to 12th. So
that went well.
Yeah, I mean, he had some okay pace, but still finished behind both Aston Martins.
Did he start from the back in France as well?
Do you know what? I think he did.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
He also finished 12th in France, so two 12th places in a row from the back. Kind of putting that car exactly where it should be. I think maybe doing a better job, but the amazing Pierre Gasly, I get the feeling isn't given a chance to shine at the moment because he's not. Either something breaks down or the car isn't quite as good. I think the AlphaTauri along with the Aston Martin's probably they're the two cars that are sliding backwards, aren't they? Pretty quickly,
and cars that should be further up given the resources they've got.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, say sister team to Red Bull, they don't have access to absolutely everything, but yeah, you'd expect them to do a little more than what they are doing. But it's the way that it is.
Yeah, it's a shame for Gasly because I feel all the rebuilding he did last year, you feel that shine is slowly being taken off him, and it's not really his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, he's driving something which has a tendency to be a little bit on the clunky side. The car seems very temperamental, aero-wise.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems uncompetitive, like consistently. Apart from like it'll have peaks like that where it just seems to come alive, mainly in qualifying, and then just disappears off again. I think it's obviously a downforce thing, isn't it? If you come to the Hungara ring and you really perform badly, it shows there's like a downforce deficiency.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon we'll see certainly a better showing from him in the first two races after the summer break because that's all about the power. So they've got a good chance to bounce back in Belgium and Monza. But
depending on what the weather's like in Belgium,
of course,
very true.
Are we going to get a Belgian Grand Prix this year for possibly one last time? But we'll talk about that in a few weeks.
I don't say one last time. It's fucking horrible. The idea of not having Belgium on the Formula One calendar is fucking sickening.
Yeah, well, they missed it out, didn't they, a few years ago? For a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, I think they missed it out for, and then they brought it back. It was supposed to be alternating with Magny Core when they brought it back? Then Magny Core were like, "Oh yeah, we got no money," so Spa ended up with the contract again.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's talk of it alternating with Paul Ricard in the future, but who knows?
I get it. I mean, I get why Formula One wants something different because anyone that's been to Spa, it feels dated when you're going around. The facilities aren't great, and it's not a like the family atmosphere they wanted to create for Formula One, like that sort of bring everybody. It's fucking great. You can bring your kids. It's not ideal when you've got to walk like 4 miles to get to the circuit because you've got to abandon your car in a small village, and then trek through a forest going, I think turn 10's this way. It's not like other circuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to sort Silverstone out, so maybe that could be a thing for Spa in the future. Because the amount of slatings that Silverstone's taken over the years, and they actually did something about it, and now everyone's saying it's back to being one of the highlights on the calendar for fans.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in the facilities that at Silverstone, and in that wing complex. It's pretty fucking cool.
Except for all the static shocks I was getting off the doors.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. That did seem to be a you problem.
That I'm thinking speaks to the quality of the shoe you might have been wearing on the occasion.
there is every possible chance.
Were you wearing nylon socks, Paul?
I was wearing plastic-soled shoes, nylon socks, and I had to practice my moonwalking during that day.
And a jumper as well.
Yeah.
There were some temporary carpet tiles down as well, were there? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd spent the previous 3 hours nuzzling some balloons.
He was literally all he needed was some sort of storage sound. He was technically a Tesla product.
Right, where are we next? Alpine. Ocon in 9th, Alonso in 8th. And according to Alonso, off the start, he'd never seen defending like that before in his life.
I don't think it was a compliment either, was it?
No, I don't know.
Just watch the side-by-side onboards as we were having this discussion.
A little naughty, isn't it?
It's not far away from when Schumacher tried to put Barrichello in the wall when he was in Mercedes and Barrichello was in Williams. And Barrichello's, I think Barrichello just forced his way through, didn't he, if I remember rightly? Yeah. And he said for some reason he wanted to put us in heaven, I think was what Barrichello said. Do you know what I did think? And don't get me wrong, this isn't just my rampant fucking...
Alonso love? Fernandophilia.
Yeah,
nice.
That's fucking hilarious. But when I was watching that race, I can't think of any other teammates or any other driver with their teammate, especially drivers that aren't necessarily fighting for anything apart from trying to maximize what the team can do because the car isn't really there. The amount of times you see Ocon like hemorrhaging race pace for both cars it's pretty fucking crazy.
It's not the first time we've seen it with Ocon either, is it? No. I mean, him and Perez just seem to find each other continually.
Oh, that's that time when they tried to put each other into the wall on the run down to Eau Rouge.
Uh-huh.
The other thing I'd say is that the Alpine... if Fernando seemed like the quicker driver as well when that tussle was going on between them, if Alpine had done something about that, Fernando would have got Norris. I think that Fernando probably had the pace to get Norris.
Maybe, but then Alpine did strategize himself out of the race quite early on by trying the hard tyres.
Yeah, that didn't. Well, see, that's the weird thing as well, wasn't it? Because they did that with Ocon first, didn't they? And then still did it with Fernando, which I found weird.
Yeah, it was only a couple of laps later, though, I think.
Was it?
It wasn't. I don't think it was long enough. I don't think it was a long enough gap for them to go, actually, no, that's not working. Let's not do that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Accountant Steve is just trying to call.
Oh.
Hope it's not a crisis. We're meant to be going on holiday with him tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Alpine now up to fourth, consolidated fourth in the championship, and is that all Danny Rick's doing?
Yeah, well, got to be. Really.
Today it was, because at one point both McLarens were ahead of both Alpines.
Yeah, for the briefest moment when he did that double overtake, it's like, oh, here comes Danny Rick, he's back.
Yeah, and then they put the hard tyres on Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, has a silly.
He really went backwards.
Yeah, has a silly.
He also got that Sorry,
I was gonna say, has that silly moment with Stroll, and yeah.
Apparently that put him into some pretty bad traffic on his exit, and then he 15th is not where a McLaren that's clearly had some decent upgrades should be finishing.
The other thing to bring into here is that there was a video that the race did about Fernando and the bad luck he's had through the season, and if you break the results down, he's realistically lost 50 points through like car breakdowns, Schumacher going into the side of him. He's just had no luck. So Alpine should be like 50 points up the road as well.
I mean, what? Where would that put them in the standings relative to everybody else around them? Just a lot further clear of McLaren, because next up is Mercedes on 304 points and Alpine are on 99.
Yeah. It was quite funny.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, it was quite funny because they kept playing clips, because they were essentially, Fernando said how many points he'd lost, but in typical Fernando fashion, over like 4 interviews, he was in an interview going, "Yeah, I probably lost about 40 points." Then the next interviewer said, "Yeah, something like 55 points." And by the time the interviews finished, it was like, Yeah, there's probably been like 70 points up for grabs.
It's like with each interview, he stewed a little bit more. It was like, I got to know that one as well.
I should actually be leading the championship.
Yeah, so the video was there to sort of play, but how many points did Fernando actually lose? And it was a chunk, but it wasn't 70.
I mean, he's moved himself clear of K-Mag now in 10th place in the Drivers' Championship. And how we got back to talking about Alonso when we were slagging Danny Rick off?
All roads lead to Alonso.
Yeah.
I think Ricciardo's main problem in this race was...
Ricciardo.
No, it was a contact with Stroll, which I thought was a bit 50-50, but they gave Daniel Ricciardo the penalty because he had all the room on the inside. And also... the hard tyres after the penalty he just fell back. It was bad luck, but at the same time, you do make your own luck. So if he was having a better time in that car, he maybe wouldn't have fallen as far back as he did.
The only thing I'd say which I'm not happy about that penalty was it was yet more inconsistency in rulings. Because the way the new rules, or the way they sort of dictated the rules of engagement, if you remember, like people were saying, like it's not good. They didn't like how they dictated it because it essentially led to drivers just throwing dive bombs up the inside. And as long as you had a significant part of your car up the inside, then it didn't matter. You know, you'd won enough room to make the corner, and that's when you were getting people just driving people off the circuit and running them out because all the onus was put on the outside driver to yield essentially. So they've gone against their own rules because because I've got the FIA document up, and Ricciardo got the penalty because he locked up going into it, so he wasn't in full control of the car when the contact was made. Right, okay. Unsure. I'm unsure. This is the thing. The whole rule system in Formula One at the minute feels a bit fucked, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it always has.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
more so.
But
as long as they give like a reason for why they've made that decision, then I'm all right with it. Because if I felt strongly enough about it that I would argue with it, I've always said that arguing with the rule makers in a sport always makes the sport uglier. It never reflects well. On the sport when you argue with the rule makers.
It does feel more of a racing incident, though, doesn't it? Even if it's a bit of a... Because it
looked like it to me.
Yeah.
Did Stroll take any damage?
I don't think so. No, watching it live, I didn't particularly notice a lockup. Did Stroll have a bit of a spin or something?
Stroll spun after it, but the stewards reviewed the video evidence and decided that Ricciardo was wholly to blame for it because of the lockup.
Fair enough.
Yeah, oh well, it is done.
Yeah, and that's another bad week for Danny Rick that can cross off. But he's got the backing of the team for next season.
Yeah, more double overtakes, less driving into Stroll.
Yeah,
I feel I've changed my opinion on what's going to happen with him next year as well. I think he's still going to be in McLaren because McLaren seem to have been talking back the idea he's going anywhere. The talk is that the contract is completely in Danny Rick's favour. So I feel that Ricciardo's kind of just said to them, like, I don't want to leave Formula One. I don't want to retire. There's nowhere for me to go. You're honouring my contract.
Unless Aston Martin come for him. I don't think they will, for what it's worth. I don't think they will. But...
No, we can do some silly season speculation in a bit.
Excellent.
Because
it is an opportunity to talk about Fernando Alonso again, though, if you want.
He can't drive all the cars.
Lee, as much as you would like it to be that he is in every car and he gets close.
Have you not seen his fucking karting academy, Formula Alonso?
Yeah, I mean, he did want to call it Fernando Alonso Racing Team at one point until somebody pointed that out.
Yeah, no.
Let's do the other side of the McLaren garage though, because it was another decent showing for Lando.
Yeah, decent-ish until he was also put on the hard tyres. But by the time they did that to him, he had a comfortable cushion back to the Alpines, so he was able to just sort of manage that.
Yeah,
but wasn't
anonymous,
able to go
wasn't
any
it?
further forward. Great qualifying, but it's kind of what you expect from a British driver on a slippery circuit. So, great qualifying to get it to fourth. I was kind of hoping he might be able to snatch a podium, but let's be honest, all the cars behind him were, not all of them, but some of the cars behind him were noticeably faster than him. So he had a hard job holding on to that fourth place. I think it was the same for George Russell as well. He had some very fast cars behind him. So, I mean, I don't think it's a poor result for Lando finishing where he did. I just think it's a little bit of strategy, a little bit of. Again, I think they did have a little bit of bad luck, but when you look at the cars that finished in the top six, seventh is about all the best he could have done today.
Yeah, the top six was filled with the usual suspects.
Yeah, I think the problem with any result McLaren can do right now is it's always going to feel a little bit disappointing because of where they look like they should have been this year. When we were doing like our pre-season podcast, like looking at testing times, the first test. We were calling McLaren and Ferrari as the teams to beat. And now
it did look that way.
Yeah, you feel now that all the work they did last year and the year before that, this slow build McLaren have been on, they've kind of been knocked back at least a year.
Yeah, I think. Obviously one of the main struggles is not having two drivers that can fully get to grips with and understand the car. And that's going to be hurting them in development as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
they've changed their philosophy slightly as well, haven't they? They've changed their philosophy to follow the Red Bull style side pods, which they brought in. Did they bring those in France?
I think so.
Yes, it was. It was a whole new side assembly in France.
Yeah, so they have had huge upgrades, which they still need to get used to. When a switch in philosophy is not easy to do mid-season.
No, I'm going to try and get Scarbs on during the summer break so that he can explain who's done what, why they've done it, and has it actually worked.
That'd be great.
So that'd be good. Right now, for non-Patreon listeners, though, I think it's time for a jump cut. And for Patreon listeners, again, it's why they're talking about jump cuts when they're not doing one. Just want to quickly talk about somebody who I'm partnering with at the minute. It's a product that I've actually started using every day, AG1. And I started taking it basically because I was looking for sort of slightly better gut health. Because it's something that everyone's struggled with from time to time. And I just thought I'm going to give this a go, and I didn't want to be taking loads of different supplements every day. So with this, it's just one scoop in a cup of water, and you're getting 75 different high-quality vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and something called adaptogens, which apparently, I don't know, judging by the word, I've never heard of it before, they can adapt your gens. And we all need our gens adapting. It's something good to take in the morning because it sort of kicks you off a little bit during the day, and does tend to wake you up a bit without going for excess caffeine. Good thing about it is it's lifestyle friendly. So whatever diet you're on at the moment, there's a lot of those: keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, gluten free, minerals only, God knows what. It fits in with every kind of diet, and it's not chock full of sugar. So that actually works quite well. They describe it as a micro habit with big benefits. I've never come across a micro habit before, but yeah, you get into the habit of taking it every morning, and it's one thing that you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. And the good thing is, it's actually cheaper than going out and getting coffee. Now, I like my coffee, but I'm prepared to sacrifice 1 cup a day. The price works out less than, I'm going to do this in traditional Patreon style, $3, €3 or £3. It's cheap. It's cheaper than that. What more can you really say about this? I mean, it's had 5-star reviews across
every single platform. It's recommended by professional athletes, and if you go on the website itself, you will see a Formula One driver that you're aware of who uses and recommends the product. So, to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is go to athleticgreens.com/Formula1, and that's FORMULAONE, just to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So that was the jump cut. Didn't get the jump cut sound from you, Chris.
Oh no, not today. I thought I ruined the last one.
No. It was perfect. It was spot on. We got compliments about that and everything.
Oh no, you didn't tell me.
Who is complimenting the jump cut?
I don't know, but whoever it is, I don't think we should appease them. I'm all for making fans happy, but Jesus Christ.
Hashtag more jump cuts. Like I said, this is being recorded Sunday night, so I mean, if there's anything too major, doing a whole jump cut recorded on a phone in a bloody cafe.
I want that iTunes review of like, yes, the podcast is very good. Really like the podcast. Talked about Formula One. Really good ad placement.
Well, we needed a break before the next thing because I think there's going to be. We all needed an energy drink before the next thing because it's Ferrari.
Oh joy!
Oh Christ!
We don't need waking up. I don't think we need waking up, do we? Ferrari are the ones who need.
Ferrari
to wake up.
strategist needs like an energy drink and possibly like a Ritalin or something to.
I think everyone in the pit crew as well. Like, was there a good Ferrari pit stop today? I don't think I saw one.
Nope. Every time one of them came in, there was a problem.
Only Ferrari could start second and third with a car on pole that they were clearly faster than.
Yep.
And end up off the podium.
Yeah, I said that before I left Paul and Chance today. That. Ferrari had a great opportunity here. Red Bull started 10th and 11th. Ferrari started 2nd and 3rd with George Russell in front of them. And somehow they ended up on the podium of Verstappen, Hamilton and Russell.
And it's not like the drivers did anything particularly wrong. I don't think there were any weird moments or spins or anything like that.
Perez had a bad weekend as well, so the other guy in the car that's comparable to their car was having a bad time.
I think there is high speculation amongst the people who travel with Formula One, and again, this would be good to get Scarbs on to ask him exactly why. The floor that is coming in, the directive for the floor that's coming in Belgium, Sergio Perez has been running that since France, which is why his performance has dropped.
That's interesting.
I want to say he never I think we're sort of slightly moving on to Red Bull before we show, but I want to say he never particularly loves Hungary. I don't think it's one of his tracks.
He's only made Q3 in 2 out of the last 9 races there.
Okay, yeah, that probably doesn't bode well.
Yeah, this year he did not. But yeah, I mean that's Red Bull. But I mean Ferrari. I mean, I don't think Carlos Sainz did anything particularly wrong.
No.
I think Charles Leclerc got ahead of Sainz at the start, I think, and then they swapped again at some point during the early laps. We totally missed that. And then, I don't really understand what happened. The first stint was fine, but Russell started on the softs, so his tyres were going to go away quicker. Ferrari started on the mediums, which you instantly think, okay, well, they can push a little harder. So if they can get past George Russell, George, might have that slight pace advantage in the opening few laps, but his tyres are going to go off really quick if he fights them. So, but what Ferrari did was they waited till the first soft runners came in for their pit stop, and then they stopped both cars on medium tyres.
And they were prepared to not wait as well, weren't they? Because Sainz was given the call to come in if Russell didn't.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was do the opposite.
Yeah, and then Russell pitted because soft tyres.
Yeah,
and Ferrari didn't hang it out. That's exactly what they should have done. I said this on the last pod. Give me the fucking job. I can do it better than them at the moment. What are they doing? Why are you pitting somebody with so much meat left on your tire and so much performance left in that you could gain that back so much more later in the race by pushing harder on the tires you put on later?
Yeah, I mean,
if they'd looked at the data anywhere, they would have known the hard tyres were the shittest tyre to go on. But for some reason, Ferrari thought that rule didn't apply to them.
Yeah, I mean, what they found out in the simulations, the hards would be tricky to get up to temperature early on, but they were predicted to be the better tyre later. And after 15 laps, they gave up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was 20 degrees cooler than it was for any sort of running or simulation. So you could not get the heat into those tyres. Watching on board when was it Lewis Hamilton was going past Leclerc. Somebody was following Leclerc very closely. Might have even been Max Verstappen after he had his little spin. But the amount of movement in that Ferrari in and out of the corners was ridiculous. It was like watching it was like Bambi on ice. It was no car should move around that much. That shouldn't have been an option for them to put that tyre on. And even after the first couple of laps, if it wasn't getting up to temperature, that would have been a good time to change. Not after he'd done 15 laps on that tyre. Mm. What a waste of a stint.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a chance that Ferrari keep tripping over themselves because, like, secretly, I don't know actually how secret it is, but they want Charles Leclerc in front of Carlos Sainz. It was one of those weekends this weekend, which feels like it's becoming slightly more regular as well, where Carlos Sainz is not only just on top of the car, but feels like he even has a slight advantage over Charles Leclerc. Now, do you think they're too busy trying to strategize a way to prioritize getting Leclerc ahead, that they're getting Leclerc ahead of Sainz, but at the same time destroying their own race doing it?
I mean, if that is their aim, they're not doing it very well, because putting Leclerc on the hard was not the way to go.
No, and also they should have called it earlier. Like, if they were going to prioritise Leclerc, they should have said in the early stages of the race, Carlos, just mind out of the way.
Yeah.
But this is a conversation they should have had before the race. You know, we're going to prioritise Charles Leclerc to try and get as many points back as we can in this championship fight. They've ended up losing another 17 points to Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, 80-point gap now.
Max Verstappen can retire for 3 races and still lead the championship.
Don't get me wrong, this is not like horrible Formula One talk. Like, touch wood, it doesn't happen. He needs to hurt himself for Charles Leclerc to win this championship. You know, there needs to be something that happens that takes him out of a portion of the rest of the championship.
Even then, I don't think he'd catch him.
No, probably not. Probably not. No, he'd end up being...
my neck out here and say Mercedes are now on pure, maybe not in car pace, but certainly in mentality and strategy. Mercedes are now the second best team, and they have been since Silverstone. Austria may be possibly hard to say, because obviously one of them blew up, and Ferrari did have a successful race with Leclerc. But France, yep, you put Mercedes ahead of Ferrari there, and the same in where were we today? Hungary. There we go. Yeah, the same at Hungary. Mercedes got another double podium. There was no Ferrari on the podium.
I think Mercedes are, regardless of the mistake they've made building this car, as a team that works, I think Mercedes are still the best team on the grid. And you could argue that the Russell-Hamilton duo is the strongest lineup Mercedes have ever had as well.
It's certainly working well for them at the moment.
It's definitely heading that way. I mean, we're talking about Mercedes' consistency. They're the only team that have scored points in every race so far.
Yep.
And the only driver to score more points than Lewis Hamilton in the last 5 races is Max Verstappen.
I know they they were quite lucky to get Lewis Hamilton got a podium, didn't he, in the first race? But if you'd have took that podium away and just looked at pure performance, there's no way that you would have thought Mercedes would have managed to have bagged 10 podiums between the two drivers. It must be near now.
Not quite that many, I don't think, but
No,
they've got quite a few.
It's probably not far off.
Also, yeah, I mean, I suppose if you include a podium as a double podium as 2 podiums,
That's
I mean between the two drivers. Yeah,
11.
11?
Yeah.
Shite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, looking at the Drivers' Championship, this is how much Ferrari have fucked it up for themselves. 7th place, Lando Norris. Okay, he's on 76 points, and then the top 6 occupy the top 6 spots, as you might expect: the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Ferraris, and the 2 Mercedes. 6th place is Lewis Hamilton, so 1 place ahead of Lando Norris, and he's got more than double the points. Well, just under double the points of Lando Norris. He's on 146. In 5th place is Carlos Sainz with 156. Hamilton's only 10 points behind Ferrari's second driver, when Ferrari are supposed to have had this car absolutely dialed, winning races all of the time, championship contenders, and Mercedes are having one of the worst seasons they've had since they came back to Formula One. And that's the position that they find themselves at the moment. George Russell scored 2 more points. George Russell's ahead of Carlos Sainz in the championship.
I think you can argue as well that regardless of results, Ferrari have had the best car on the grid for the most races this year.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would just looking at it now at the top end as well. Like Charles Leclerc, we're saying he's well out of the running for the championship because he is 80 points behind.
For the championship.
Yeah.
Well, he is. But he's 80 points behind, and it's just as we say, we need a Max Verstappen disaster to stop him from becoming world champion.
Yeah,
but George Russell is only 20 points behind Charles Leclerc.
I think
that was kind of what I was thinking today. I was thinking, well, if something would have happened today and Russell would have managed to win the race, he would have kept himself in as like the rank outsider for the championship, that's what I was kind of hoping for.
I think now everyone that isn't Max is a rank outsider for the championship.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just crazy. I just don't understand. I don't understand Ferrari. I don't understand the mentality of how they're going racing. They've got.
Is he gone?
I've got my criticisms of Charles Leclerc, and I only believe that those maybe not proven 100% this year, but certainly not disproven. They've got 2 good drivers that can get a job done. They've had a good car. Like, what fucking more do they want?
it's the old all the gear and no idea, really, isn't it? They have probably the fastest car and just no idea what to do with it.
Yeah. Ferrari is a company that sells road cars so that they can go racing.
Here's a bold comment, if I do say so myself.
You never make them.
Given the resources that Ferrari have, and the fact that realistically, it's kind of sponsored by the Italian government. If they've run out of money, they've no shortage of money to plough into this team. Are they the worst team in the history of Formula One when you consider what they have?
I think they are the worst value for money in Formula One. They certainly get the least bang for their buck because they've got all the books and at the moment very little in the way of bang.
But they do shift a lot of merch.
If you want, want cufflinks, worst AC/DC album.
That's exactly ties into what I just said. Then Ferrari is a company that sells road cars so that they can go racing on tracks and make people want to buy their road cars, which then funds them going racing on racetracks. This is like the top thing. Ferrari is a big deal in Formula One, and they've threatened to pull out in the past, but they've been ever present pretty much since the second race. I think it was second Formula One race.
Yeah, they didn't turn up at the first one because of money.
Yeah, and so Ferrari have been there right throughout, pretty much, bar one race. And, it's if your team can't win races, like why are you there? Like you that's your sole purpose. Like your resources, you've got your own test track, you've got the money to build cars that you can sell for nearly $250,000, sometimes more than that. You know, and everybody who drives a road car Ferrari says exactly how much they love driving their Ferrari, and it's a fantastic car. But the race team is not a reflection of that at all whatsoever. The race team, I mean, they need clown makeup and wigs. They do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the pit wall needs to start wearing like colourful wigs and oversized shoes, because this is, this is just like Haas are doing a better job with what they've got than what Ferrari are doing.
And Haas have got next to stuff all.
Absolutely.
The only comparison, which I don't think is 100% a comparison, and Ferrari still win this one, is Aston Martin. That's and you can't say that 100% for Aston Martin either, because they've still not got their wind tunnel and facilities that they're building up and running.
Exactly. New
Ferrari have
ready.
it all. Yeah, they've got all of the stuff. They've got, and I think the biggest thing as well is, apart from Adrian Newey, which they could never manage to get their greasy mitts on, as no matter how hard they tried. They have the money to buy anybody they want, and they had it. They had the at the time, I would say, the best aerodynamicist of barring Adrian Newey on the grid. They had it in Ellison, and they fucked it, and he left.
Yeah, they completely screwed him over.
Yeah,
he goes to Mercedes and makes even better cars than the ones that had won the last couple of championships.
Yep.
Yeah. It's his aero philosophy that they're following, and it is strange that Mercedes are still following this philosophy that they believe long term, not this season, but they believe long term will give them more scope to upgrade and update to make the car faster than the philosophy that a lot of the other teams have chosen. Which, again, not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, but Mercedes are able to pull themselves forward. They were clearly the third team, sometimes not even the third team, for the early part of the season. Now, they're pace-wise, the race pace-wise, they're well up there with Ferrari and one of the Red Bulls. The astounding thing is that Ferrari I'm not sure that Mercedes have necessarily pulled themselves forward. They've been helped by Ferrari falling away.
Yeah. Also, talking of falling away, Binotto leaving the pit wall well before the end of the race, that just seemed a bit strange.
He came back.
He did return.
Did he come back?
Come
Because
back.
apparently he went to the
he did
motorhome.
return.
So he might have just needed a poo.
Because it was kind of concerning. I mean, he's going to be the
They
next.
call it in Formula One, isn't it? Comfort break.
Yeah.
Maybe he needed to find a harder surface to bang his face against.
I mean, it's obvious he's going to be the next human sacrifice that their corporate overlords make.
Yeah.
Who takes over then? Laurent Mekies? He's part of the same machine.
Is he the little guy with the scruffy hair?
With the long hair, long grey hair. Yeah.
Every time he comes on television, I look and go, "What the fuck happened to JK?" And then suddenly realise it's a Ferrari person.
I mean, well, JK's a Ferrari person, isn't he? He's got about 20 of them.
Maybe they get JK. Maybe they put him in charge.
Do you know what? At this point, it's got to be worth a dice roll.
Anyone that buys F1 Manager, they should have an extra mode in there. Ferrari audition mode. If you get Ferrari either world championship within your first 5 seasons, you get a job interview for head strategist.
No, you don't get a job interview. You get the job. Like you know how they had like the world's fastest gamer. It's like world's strategist gamer.
They've had this with Football Manager, haven't they? There've been people who've been shit out at Football Manager, the game, that have then gone on to get interviews at real life clubs.
Yeah, and it happens with sim racing. So why can't it happen with sim managing?
Well, I mean, realistically, it's the same thing. The sim stuff, the sim management game is closer to like managing something than like sim racing is to car racing. So it's got to be possible.
I think we've about covered everything there is to cover on Ferrari.
Yeah.
Do we want to get one last parting shot in?
It's just embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
It's a good job they wear red.
Hilarious.
Actually, we will get one last parting shot in. So, Mercedes, double podium.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Hamilton start. Go on.
I was going to say, just before we do this, sorry, Niska, you knew we were going to talk about Ferrari in those terms.
It's okay.
But we have to.
She replied to me on Twitter today because I posted on Twitter because this is how I come up with my idea of like whether Ferrari might actually be the worst team of all time. Because I thought, is it the worst team on the grid? And then that developed into I couldn't think of another team that's done less with more than they have ever. So yes, she replied to that saying I can't argue with it.
We better move on to Mercedes. She'll be crying into a tequila. Second double podium on the trot. They're definitely learning more about how to get something out of the car.
I think it's good in a circuit like that they managed to get some heat into the tyres for qualifying because that's been a big issue for them, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were a bit slow on that. George Russell, even though he started on the softs, was a bit, you could tell it took him half a lap, maybe a bit more, to get the heat into the tyres so he could actually use those softs. Yeah. But he managed to avoid getting overtaken by either of the Ferraris at that point.
Well, I think a lot
of the quali.
I was going to say a lot of the problem that George had during the first lap and not getting the heat in the tyres was the amount of time that he was stuck on the grid before they formed up. Because did you see the speed that Max did the formation lap at first?
Yeah, that was a slow formation.
Yeah, because I think they said that it was 52 seconds between getting to the grid and the lights going out.
It was long.
Wow, it's a long time.
It is, but at the same time, he's got to push to get the heat in there to start with, so it's catch-22. If he poodles around so that everybody else, follows him, he's not going to have the heat in, and everybody else is going to switch their tyres on quicker anyway. So
unless you know you can turn your tyres on a bit better than those around you.
But again, I mean, the plans for what to do at the start were kind of all screwed over for everyone, with it being that 20 degrees cooler.
Yeah. But I mean, a great pole from George. I felt a bit sorry for him during the race because I feel he's, by getting pole and wanting to keep track position, so they're starting him on the soft tyre. I think it kind of it given the lack of pace compared to the cars around him, that put him in the position to lose second. As it shook out, I thought that was a shame for him.
Well, yeah, you got basically Mercedes did a reverse thing, didn't they, with either of their drivers? Obviously, Lewis had the issue with the DRS in qualifying, so he abandoned his last lap. I think it was virtual statman Sean Kelly said, looking at what he could have done, he probably would have joined George on the front row, but we'll never know.
Yeah,
So Mercedes went with Hamilton. They went medium, soft, and with George they went soft, medium. So yeah, it did I know what you're saying. It did kind of cost him the idea of going second, but they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. I understand why Mercedes did that. It's just that both their cars ended up occupying the same bit of track in the closing laps, and Lewis with the quicker tyres did win out in the end. For
a team. Like it was a pretty excellently executed split strategy.
Yes.
to split strategies like that, and to essentially have your drivers finish like just in front and behind each other. Usually, when you do a split strategy, somebody gets a real sucky end of the deal, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, harking back to Ferrari, they're going on completely different strategies. That means one of them's right, one of them's wrong.
Yeah, usually.
It means one of them's wrong and one of them's wronger.
Well, yeah.
But no, what Paul's just said then is one of the things Martin Brundle, it's a Martin Brundle quote, I think, isn't it? It was just, if you split your strategy, all you're doing is guaranteeing you're getting it wrong with at least one of your cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, to split the strategy was brave, but it worked out well for Mercedes.
I mean, I think in there was a little bit of wind assistance with certainly Leclerc having problems, or Ferrari causing Leclerc problems.
Wind assistance.
Yeah, I mean, the split strategy didn't work all by itself for Mercedes getting that position. They had outside assistance by Ferrari shooting themselves in the foot.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. As I said just before, Ferrari falling away has helped Mercedes jump into second place. Not saying that they haven't done it purely on their own pace, but I still don't think that Mercedes car is this. I don't think it's the second fastest, but suddenly Mercedes is now the second best team over the last few races.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Constructors' Championship, and there's only 30 points between Ferrari and Mercedes, and to be honest, that is one or two more bad strategy races, and all of a sudden Mercedes are in second.
I think Mercedes will overhaul Ferrari before the end of the season.
Oh, I have no doubt. I have no doubts that they will,
because they're like, that car's not going to stand still, and like development wise. When you consider where they've come from in half a season to where they are, to the point where you feel they can sort of understand that car some more. The other thing I thought was really rich from Ferrari was they were talking about the rules being changed, and Ferrari were quite critical about them being changed for the benefit of McLaren and not of Mercedes and not safety.
This is the flaw again.
Yeah, and they turned around and said, what was it? At least when we got it wrong, we just owned up to it and we fixed the problem. It was like, no, you got it wrong, and then you cheated, and then you were caught cheating, and that's when you fucked it again.
Yeah, it was. This is down to the flaw. That again, I have to be very careful on the podcast that you missed in the weekly, but it was allegedly it's Red Bull and Ferrari are the two teams that have taken a view of how the plank is supposed to work on the bottom of the floor, and are taking it a little bit liberally, with the regulations. Mercedes are saying that there's it was conformed to the intent of the regulations, and Christian Horner has said there's no such thing as the intent of the regulations. But so that led more fuel to the fire of it being Red Bull with the floor. Hence why have they put this new floor on Perez's car, which is why he's been out of it the last couple of races. But there's a new directive coming in for Belgium, which basically everybody has to have this certain amount of floor flexibility, which is going to be measured differently from Belgium onwards. Now, the way that it's going to be measured, if Ferrari and Red Bull allegedly use their early season floors and planks, they would be in contravention of this new directive, which will make their car illegal. Therefore, Mercedes are saying that they have always used this type of floor. So that's why Ferrari is saying this benefits Mercedes, because we're trying to bend the rules to what they're using. The FIA have just agreed with what Mercedes have put forward, we think it's Mercedes because, as I say, it's very strange, and I actually think that the reason the FIA haven't come out and said yes, Red Bull and Ferrari have been found with this because it's a slight discrepancy in the rules is because you can't have any sport coming out and saying, hey, the top two guys who you've been watching all year have been cheating. Because, it's again, that's never going to reflect well. I mean, it might seem a little unfair to the rest of the teams, but it might be a bit of a leveler, especially if Red Bull's pace really is what Perez has been doing over the last two races. And if Ferrari haven't run this new directive floor yet, well, they're going to learn about it when they get to Belgium, and it might change things. It might not. It may not. It might improve them. Who knows? But that's where that whinging has come from, allegedly, because none of this has been spoken about in public.
If Red Bull have done that, and I believe, like I 100% believe that it would be something that they'd push against, because if they have a solution that's working better than the other cars, it can only send them back towards the other cars. That's it's the natural way of it working itself out. But I'm almost convinced, and I wouldn't go as far as to like whack a kidney on this or anything, but I'm almost convinced I can hear Christian Horner in an interview complaining about Mercedes' engine over the Renault engine, going, well, it's not really in the spirit of the rules, is it? I'm sure he's thrown a fucking it's not in the spirit of the rules around a few times.
Yeah, you always do when you're not doing when you're not winning.
Yeah. But the thing is, as well, it was decided, wasn't it? One of the things that these rules were supposed to do was to bring the field closer together. And they've had procedures put in place, which all the teams agreed to, that if a car is using something which is essentially, for the want of a better word, isn't in the spirit of the rules of bringing the cars together, they could change it quickly on the fly without having to wait an entire season for it to be rectified. So that's, they're doing what they kind of promised they were going to do.
Yeah, because that's what we've seen in the past, isn't it, with things like the F-duct and the double diffuser and stuff like that, that it's been like, okay, well done, you found a loophole, stop it from next year, and then everyone has that mad scramble to copy it mid-season.
Yeah, I mean, they outlawed DAS for the following season before it had even been raced.
Yeah, well, look at if let's say Braun had brought the blown diffuser out now, probably would have had to change it.
Yeah,
if it's only Braun and Toyota, if it's only Braun and Toyota that have got it, and every other team hasn't, it would be a case of, look, going to need to sort that blowing out.
Yeah, either ban it or make it mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's only two teams out of 10 using it, then they're gonna ban it. If the majority are doing it, it's up to the other teams to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really just leaves Red Bull. Max started 10th, changed his engine, won it.
Yeah,
pretty much at a counter.
A good day at the office.
Yeah, Perez also with a new engine. Started 11th.
Yep.
Yes.
Managed to miss qualifying yesterday because, again, Dan. Blame Dan. Yeah, got up to 5th. Perez was taking a bit of a slagging off from Helmut Marko about his lack of pace all weekend.
Felt unfair, that, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 11th to 5th is still also a very good day.
It is,
but not in Marco's Dr. Evil COVID camp world.
The standards are exceptionally high there.
Yeah, you feel like turning around to him and saying, "Look, like be happy that the other driver that's doing dead well is not just good, might be the best of his generation."
Yeah, absolutely.
Sergio Perez is a very good Formula One driver. Nobody's going to accuse him of being the best of his generation.
No, I said before when I was leaving Paul and Chance after the race back, the Helmut Marko comments about, it seems like he's on holiday already and the summer break hasn't started yet. With Perez not being a young Red Bull driver, and let's be honest, he's in his 30s now, so it's not like he's absolutely desperate to take over from Max when Max moves on to another team, or he's not looking to be the team leader. He knows exactly why he's there. I would hope Sergio Perez would just turn around to him and go, "Fuck off, Helmut."
I think he might not do it necessarily to his face, but I don't think he'll be too like, "Oh my god, the boss said what." I think he probably will internally be like, "Yeah, fuck off."
Yeah, exactly. Just fuck off. What are you going to do? You're going to fire me? You're going to get Alex Albon back in? You're going to get Pierre Gasly back in? No, you're not. So fucking sit down, One Eye.
I would love it if he did actually say that.
Well, I mean, anything's possible. Like as far as we know, during an argument, Daniel Ricciardo told what's his name, McLaren boss, to go and
eat a salad.
Yeah, so anything's possible.
That would be, yeah. I want Netflix to film that and use it as a trailer. Yeah, I mean, there was no... Max only had that one moment with the spin, and yet he still managed to run away with it.
Yeah, he did. He passed Leclerc.
Twice.
Spun. Yeah, as I say, passed Leclerc, spun, and then overtook him again. And if I remember rightly, that's when Ferrari decided to put Leclerc on those really poor tyres, which just made no sense to me at all whatsoever. Made no sense to anyone, I don't think. But Max Verstappen has... we're bigging up women today. England women's team have won the Euros, but also Max's strategist is a lady called Hannah Schmitz, who has done an amazing job with his strategy today to get the pit stops right at exactly the right time. And he's praised her after the race because he said, basically, I wouldn't have been able to do that without her and her strategy. That's what helped me win the race today. Yes, Max Verstappen's an incredible driver. Yes, that Red Bull is a fantastic car. But if you've got Ferrari strategists running your team, you ain't going to go anywhere. So, once again, Red Bull have had a really strong Sunday. Not so much on Saturday; they didn't have a very good Saturday at all. But they pulled it back on the Sunday to a win and a fifth. They can't be too upset with that.
No. Well, Helmut Marko wants 2 firsts.
He's just upset there's a podium place there without a Red Bull on it. That's it. Like, he looks at a 1-2 and thinks that's a shame.
Yeah. Who put that number 3 up there?
Right. Our usual rock stars and wankers.
Ferrari.
I was gonna say I've got our usual rockstar and wanker correspondent, Wings Triumphant. He sent his suggestions through, and he usually turns out to be pretty sort of straight on.
Yes, we all agreed with him last week, didn't we? So
yeah, rockstars. Max turning a P10 quali into a win.
Yes.
Lewis as well.
We'll get into that in a minute. Red Bull in general, great strategy and pace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hungaroring for position swaps, where that's not usually a thing most years.
Is that Hungaroring, or is that more the weather?
Well...
And the regulations as well.
Regulation, yeah.
According to a tweet from Virtual Statman, there were 27 on-track passes last year, and I think there were actually more this time round.
Wow.
So, but the year before the last major upgrades to the circuit, there was 1 on-track pass.
That's not a classic race, is it?
That's not a lot.
Mercedes for another great podium. They're improving so fast.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Vettel scraping from P18 to a point.
Yes.
Any other suggestions for rockstars from our side? I mean, I know you said Russell, but I think Mercedes in general for a season rescuing drive.
Yeah. Was there anybody else that was particularly stand out?
I don't think there was.
No, I think
Lando for qualifying. I think his effort to stick that McLaren 4th was kind of overshadowed by Russell getting pole.
Yeah, quite possibly. Right, the wankers column. Ferrari are first, just in general.
Yes.
Actually, what it said was just in general and for everything over the last 2 months.
I think they're fucking stakeholders in the wanker category now.
I mean, are we going to see Gunther going off on a complete rant one of these days, saying, we could look like rock stars, but instead we look like Ferrari?
I think they might need a new engine first, but possibly.
I'd completely forgotten as well. Wasn't there a bit where on the Sky F1 coverage that they had Binotto on the team wall and they tried to get hold of him and he just didn't answer?
Yeah, apparently he was taking another call at the time.
Was it from Italy?
Probably. But yeah, he was the pit wall person and we just did not hear from him all race.
Wow.
Other wankers. Rain for being a tease and arriving too late.
Yeah, how pissed off are you the fact that the amount of races we see a raining paddock is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, we're back to the 2020 concept of wet Daleks.
Yeah, I think we should start changing race times to the statistically best chance for rain during the race. It's not quite sprinklers. It's not far away from sprinklers. But if we know there's a time of day, say when we go to hot countries in Asia and stuff, where
Malaysia.
Yeah,
where they try to avoid the monsoon.
Yeah, let's not avoid the monsoons. Let's head towards them.
Drive into the storm.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I mean, we were saying this, Chris, because you got confused with it with the start time, and you thought it was an hour later than it was.
Yeah, and I had a lot to do before I came to watch the race. That's why I watched the race at Paul's house, because it was I was kind of that way anyway, and then I thought, well, I could just go to Paul's and then watch the race. And
you are on you are on podcast minding duty next week while we're away, so somebody you have to get the keys.
Yes.
Yeah, if it had started at 3, we'd have had a very different last hour.
Mm. Yeah, we would have done. Yeah, I mean, even though after the race, I mean, it looked like it rained for a bit, but then when they were doing the talking after the race, it wasn't that wet, really, was it?
No.
But it was enough. It was enough to have made it a bit because you could see it was getting slippy.
Probably inters.
Yeah, inters. I mean, realistically, as soon as they put the inters on, it wouldn't have been fun. It would have been those few laps where they didn't quite know what to do.
Next on the wanker list is the virtual safety car at the end for arriving just late enough to neutralise it and rob us of any chance of an exciting finale.
No, it was the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a shame that it happened like it did. And the fourth wanker nomination, Ferrari again. They've got the incompetence needed to win a wanker award twice.
Dedication to the bit, like you said before.
Exactly. Right, Giovinazzi Participation Award. There's a few.
Valtteri Bottas for me.
Schumacher.
Mick Schumacher, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not his dad. I didn't realise I had to specify which Schumacher.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ralph.
Dave. I think he's in DTM now.
I think he is in DTM at the present time.
Yeah. Basically, Alfa Romeo in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Guan Yu Zhou was almost non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, what did Wings say? I completely forgot until Bottas's car clunked out, and I wondered, wait, is that Zhou? Is he still racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Alfa Romeo get it. Obviously, the Air Miles Award for the weekend goes to Nick De Vries, who did FP1 and Formula E this weekend.
Whereas Formula
Where
E...
was the Formula E?
London.
It's a hop. It's a bit of a hop.
Although
a few hours in it, 3-4 hours to Hungary, maybe.
Yeah. Although, did we see Marcus Ericsson on the grid?
I think so.
I thought it was Marcus Ericsson until I remembered IndyCar had been on the Saturday, which is not impossible for him to get there. It was some tall, blonde, slightly awkward-looking person.
He did look like Marcus Ericsson. It may not have been Marcus Ericsson, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Shall we see if we can find his social media and see if that clarifies?
I think he's.
I
think he's at Ericsson Marcus.
Right,
Is he? I would offer to search, but I don't want to blight my search history.
He was watching F1 in what looks suspiciously like a hotel room.
Unless it was
perhaps not there then.
So there is a Marcus Ericsson clone loose around the Budapest area.
He is in Indiana. He has posted, as of 3 hours ago, he was in Indiana playing tennis with Christian Lundgaard.
Was it Keanu Reeves who managed to do the MotoGP and the Formula One on the same day?
Even
though they were in separate countries.
Yes.
Separate continents. The one of them was in China and the other one was in Texas.
So I think there's a fake Marcus Ericsson walking around somewhere.
Ooh. No, we can't be having that. I think that's possibly about it for this week.
I think so. Anybody else got anything?
Unless anybody's got anything else. I know we did get a few comments thanking us for the right who the bloody hell's that we threw in last week when Lee wasn't around. That may return at some point.
Let's not make these podcasts longer than they have to be.
Well, we've done nearly an hour and a half. It is Sunday. We're going to have a week off next week because F1's into the summer break, and we're having one as well. We'll be back on Tuesday the 16th, and I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks trying to rustle up some guests to get on. Hopefully we'll be able to get Scarbs, Virtual Statman, and Alice Powell has said she'll definitely come back on the show, so it would be good to talk to her again, especially after her win yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the breaking Jamie Chadwick's run of wins, and don't get me wrong, that's an incredible run of wins, but to break that is incredibly impressive. So, it'd be good to speak to Alice again.
And hopefully Abby will come on with her if they're friends again now.
I think they are.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Right, have a good start of summer break, and we will see you in a fortnight.
We will.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.